simultaneously. This election requires a huge logistical deployment. We have painstakingly procured, organized, and delivered all the materials to the states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory for deployment. We commenced the delivery of non-sensitive materials over 2 months ago, and they have been batched down to registration area or electoral wards and the polling unit levels. Sensitive materials have been delivered to the states and are presently being delivered to our local government area offices, and we have 774 local government offices nationwide. As such, these materials are only between 1 and 2 levels away from the polling units. We have achieved this by learning from our recent difficult experience with logistics. We have completed arrangements with the transport unions for the final leg of the movement of personnel and materials to the polling units. The unions have assured us of their readiness to provide all the vehicular needs of the Commission for the election. And that includes over 40,000 boats to cover riverine locations nationwide. A major part of our preparation for the general election is the establishment of additional 56,872 polling units across the country, the first time that this is done since 1996. With this, we expanded voter access to polling units in Nigeria by over 32%, making it possible for voters to have improved opportunities for casting their votes. We operated on the principle that the right to vote is almost meaningless without a place to vote. Unfortunately, voters have not taken full advantage of this opportunity, resulting, as I said earlier, in 240 polling units without voters, and prompting the Commission to further move some voters out of congested polling units to less populated areas. I implore all voters to cross-check their polling units before the election. However, only 7% of voters are affected by this movement. This means that the vast majority of voters will still vote in their usual polling units. We sent bulk phone text messages, SMS, to the affected voters, tasked our state offices for publicity in local languages, and offered 2 unique ways by which voters can locate and confirm their polling units. Bulk phone text messages, SMS, to the affected voters, tasked our state offices for publicity in local languages, and offered 2 unique ways by which voters can locate and confirm their polling units before election day, by sending normal text messages to dedicated telephone numbers or by visiting our website. The detailed procedure has already been uploaded to both our website and social media platforms. Staff to be deployed for the elections have been trained, the last being collation and returning officers who will complete their training shortly. An essential part of this training has been the emphasis on neutrality of staff and the need for them to be committed and dedicated throughout the duration of the assignment. The Commission shall carefully monitor the performance of all staff involved in the election and ensure that both recognition and sanctions are applied where applicable. We have completed all the testing of our technologies to be deployed for the election, particularly the bimodal voter accreditation system and the Inec results viewing portal, the IREV. On 4th February 2023, we tested the beavers in a mock accreditation exercise and uploaded results to the IREV. We are satisfied with the performance of the beavers, which has been confirmed by several groups that observed the exercise. Lessons have been learned from the exercise, which have helped us in training of 10,600 registration area technical support staff for the election. We call them the RATECs. They will provide the necessary support to ensure that the deployment of the beavers is without hitches. Let me reiterate the procedure for voting as provided in the Electoral Act 2022, which clearly makes the use of the beavers mandatory. So also is the use of the permanent voters' cards, the PVCs. The Commission operates on the policy or rule that no PVC, no voting. And in the last few months, we made 13.6 million PVCs available for collection for new voters and applicants for transfer and replacement of lost or damaged cards. While we are pleased that the rate of collection is higher than in previous years, there are still, unfortunately, many cards that were not collected. Before the end of this briefing, we shall make public a summary of the number of collected and uncollected PVCs in each state of the Federation. The detailed breakdown by polling units will be uploaded to the Commission's website latest Friday, 24th February. The detailed breakdown on polling unit by polling unit is a huge document, really massive document, but we are committed to uploading this information tomorrow on our website. To illustrate how big this document is, I am holding here the polling unit by polling unit number of PVCs collected for only 1 out of 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory. So this documents, in effect, terms 36 will be uploaded by tomorrow on the Commission's website, and anybody will have access to the documents. At this juncture, it will not be inappropriate to comment on the National Register of Voters. With 93.4 million records, complete with names, addresses, passport photographs, and biometrics, both fingerprint and facial, the Inec voter register is the largest database of citizens in Africa and one of the largest in the world. However, like all databases, it may not be perfect, but the core of the register is solid. Going forward, the Commission will continue to clean it up using technology and citizens' involvement as provided by law. Through the automated biometric identification system, the ABIS, millions of ineligible registrants have actually been removed from the register. In addition, citizens, the ultimate owners of the register, have helped to clean up the register further during the display of the hard copies for claims and objections in the 8,809 registration areas or wards and 774 local government areas nationwide for a period of 2 weeks from the 12th to the 25th of November 2022, again as provided by law. Nigerians should therefore continue to have confidence in the register as a national treasure and continue to work with the Commission to improve on it as provided by law. But in addition to the hard copies, the entire National Register of Voters was also uploaded to our website for a period of 2 weeks as required by law, during which citizens had the opportunity to scrutinize the register and to submit claims and objections to the Commission, on the basis of which we took steps to further clean up the register. Vote buying remains a major threat to our democracy. We have worked closely with the enforcement agencies to ensure that this is eliminated from our electoral process. We are convinced that our joint operations before and on election day will vastly reduce the prospect of voter inducement, which is not only illegal, but actually immoral. The ban on the use of mobile phones and photographic devices at the voting cubicles is still in force. Some voters have used these devices in previous elections to snap their marked ballot papers for vote transaction. However, citizens are permitted to come to the polling units with these devices as long as they do not take them to the voting cubicles. Our arrangement of placing the ballot boxes near the voting cubicles and away from the party agents remains. Our staff have been trained in the administration of the polling units, and their attention should be drawn to any deviation from that training and the procedure that I described. In the last few weeks, we have been in consultation with other critical agencies and institutions in the administration of the general election. We met with the judiciary about arrangements for post-election adjudication. Last year, we worked with the development partners and the Court of Appeal to conduct workshops for prospective election petition tribunal justices and judges. We have been assured of arrangements for the timely post-election adjudication. We have also met severally with the security agencies, mainly under the auspices of our Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security, ICSES. They have assured us of their preparedness to adequately secure the election. This is very important as it will assure voters of their safety during the elections, which is cardinal to voter turnout. In the build-up to the general election, several of our facilities were attacked by unknown assailants in various parts of the country. I am pleased that we have fully recovered from these attacks, and we have been further assured that our facilities, staff, voters, observers, the media, and citizens will be safe during the election. As a result of recent developments in the economy, we have also had to consult with the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited on the fuel situation. As you all know, we require premium motor spirit, the PMS, or petrol, and automotive gas oil, the AGO, or simply gas, to power vehicles and boats for land and maritime transportation, as well as our generators during the election. We are pleased that the National Oil Company assured us that it will ensure availability of products for the polls. Likewise, the Central Bank of Nigeria has assured us that it will provide us with the necessary small amount of cash that we require from our budget to make payment for some critical service providers for the election. I must reiterate that the bulk of payment for works, goods, and services are still paid for by the Commission by electronic transfer. And I'm also happy to say that the bulk of the small amount of cash that we have requested from the Central Bank of Nigeria is right now being released to the Commission's offices nationwide. In fact, a substantial part of it has already been received by our offices nationwide, and this has greatly facilitated the movement of sensitive materials yesterday from the branches of the Central Bank to our local government areas. And by tomorrow, we'll batch them and then move them on Friday to the registration area centers. And then on Saturday early morning, they will be moved to the polling units for voting. On election observation, the Commission has accredited 229 groups, deploying 149,913 observers. As I said at the briefing for election observers on Tuesday this week, this is the largest deployment of observers in the history of elections in Nigeria. Similarly, the Commission has so far accredited 457 national and international media organizations, and together they are deploying 8,882 journalists. We encourage them to freely observe and report the election within the remits of our laws and international good practice. There are 18 political parties fielding candidates for 1,491 constituencies in this election. As provided by law, parties are required to submit the list of their agents for polling units and collation centers nationwide who are individually accredited by the Commission. To make the process easier, we created a dedicated portal for parties to upload the lists of their agents along with names and passport-size photographs. In all, the Commission has printed and delivered 1,642,385 identification cards to our state offices for collection by state chairmen of political parties for their polling units and collation agents. The soft copy of the summary of the list has already been uploaded to our website and social media platforms. And I'm glad to say that we have shared the hard copies of the summary at this meeting. Finally, I want to reassure Nigerians that we are adequately prepared for this election. We remain fully committed to a free, fair, and credible process. I want to once again declare that our allegiance is only to Nigerians. Our commitment is to ensure that in this election, we put everything in place for free, fair, credible contest and outcome. I understand that the Inspector General of Police sent a representative. Am I right? Is there anybody representing the IG? Okay, so the Inspector General of Police will join us tomorrow so that together we'll further brief the nation and take questions. I will respond to issues relating to elections, and the Inspector General of Police will respond to issues relating to election security. So on this note, it's my pleasure to welcome all our invited guests, and I am prepared, supported by the national commissioners, to respond to questions, issues, comments you may wish to make, and to take note of suggestions and advice that you may wish to offer. I thank you very much, and I apologize for speaking for too long. Thank you.
Chairman is ready to take questions from distinguished ladies and gentlemen who are present, from the media, from observers who are present, and the generality of the people sitting down. Please, if you have any question, any comment, please raise your hand, identify yourself, and please make your contribution. We'll pass the mic around. Please indicate if you have any question to ask or any comments to make.
Good afternoon, Prof. Romano Sugu is my name, and I write for the Sun newspaper. My question is very simple, sir. Please rest the anxiety in most Nigerians on what is preloaded beavers. Does it exist, sir? What do we do in that case? What should the electorate do in that case, sir? Thank you.
Honorable Chairman, sir, my name is Omeza Ajayi, Vanguard newspaper. First, I believe this is a dry run of what to expect on the day of collation, except if this is a work in progress. I'm speaking from your right side, sir, left side. I'm here, sir. Except this is a work in progress, I'm concerned about the sound system. It is not working well for us in the media. The speakers at the back here are not, I doubt if they are connected, they are not working. So I am asking or hoping that this will be taken care of. Then the issue of media accreditation. Before now, we used to have car stickers. Today, few hours to the polls, we have not gotten stickers. Are you assuring us that you are going to give us stickers, or are you going to give instructions to the police and other security agencies not to harass journalists on election day? Then, in Lagos and Ogun State, the tags meant for journalists there I learned were taken to somewhere in Oyo State. I've received several calls from my own office in Lagos and, of course, in Ogun State. They are concerned that till now, they have not gotten their tags. In Gombe State, our correspondent, the Vanguard newspaper, has also not gotten his tag, and in a few other states. What are you doing to rectify this anomaly as soon as possible? Thank you.
Hello, hi, Yasmin for AFP. We would just really like to know if you have the final number of the number of PVCs that were collected. Not too sure if you've said it at the beginning, but if you could repeat that, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Sorry, you may have to repeat the question so that I hear you correctly.
Can you, if you haven't said it already, the number of PVCs, of electoral cards that have been collected? If you have the final number. Thank you.
Okay, should I respond to the 3 questions and we take more, or 2 more? 2 more, so I respond to 5. Go ahead.
Good evening, sir. I am Joseph from ITV. I just want to add to the media accreditation. And I want to be specific. In Abuja, the challenge is so wide. As I speak, some of us are yet to get accreditation for collation center. What are you doing about it, sir?
My name is Obiora Ifo. I work for Champion Newspapers. A few hours ago, a senatorial candidate of a Labour Party was allegedly murdered in Enugu East senatorial zone. The party is asking for a postponement of that election in that district. Is Inec going to oblige that?
Okay, thank you very much. Let me start with Romanus, the Sun newspaper. That there is anxiety about what he calls preloaded beavers and what is Inec going to do. I simply don't know what is preloaded beavers. Our beavers are configured to polling units, and what they have in them is simply the number of registered voters for that polling unit. And if there is anything called preloaded outside what I've just described, it's unknown to the Commission. And I won't hazard a guess over what is unknown to the Commission. But let me seize this opportunity to assure you and reassure others who may think that beavers machines are preloaded, that there is nothing like that. In fact, the machines are configured to start working only at 8:30 a.m. on election day. They can't be operated before the election day. And there is a time frame within which they operate, even on election day. So in other words, I'm unsure what that means. I'm not in a position to answer you, but I hope I've sufficiently responded to your question. Then, Omeza, you talked about the acoustic system here, the sound system. Actually, I'm partially responsible for this in a way, because they are trying to set up this place for collation after what happened yesterday. But I insisted that we must use the Africa Hall for this media briefing. They actually wanted us to use the ASO Hall behind, where we briefed election observers just for today. But I said, no, we must use this facility. So it's good, at least we have tested the public address system. So they will take steps to ensure that this is fixed. But they are actually setting this place up for the commencement of collation, which will be later on Saturday and Sunday. Actually, we are going to commence essentially either late on Saturday or early on Sunday morning. You talked about media accreditation and the absence of car stickers, what assurances. You talked about tax for journalists in Lagos, Oshun, Gombe, and other states of the Federation. And you asked what the Commission is going to do. And this question is related to what Joseph from ITV asked about the media accreditation for collection centers. I've taken note of all these observations, whether they are for tags or car stickers for movement on election day or access to the collection centers. And we'll come back to this immediately. At our briefing tomorrow, we'll be in a position to fully brief you. And I want to assure you that by tomorrow, you will see some considerable progress in dealing with the issues that we have raised. Then there was a question on PVCs collected list. When are we going to make the list available? I actually referred to it in my opening statement. And before the end of this press briefing, we shall circulate the hard copies of the number of PVCs, number of registered voters and PVCs collected on state-by-state basis. And as I said, by tomorrow, we shall upload the number of PVCs collected nationwide on polling unit by polling unit basis. Then finally, Obiora Champion, he said the senatorial candidate of one of the political parties has passed on and the party is asking for postponement of the election. What is the Commission going to do? The law is very clear what shall be done. The law provides for countermanding the election by 2 weeks in that constituency where a political party has lost a candidate but wishes to continue to participate in the election. But as we speak, the Commission has not received any official communication from that political party. As soon as we receive official communication and the fact of death is verified, will apply the provisions of the law. Now, something similar happened to one of the political parties, I think in Kano, where a candidate died last week. But he has since been buried, and the party has submitted the name of a fresh candidate to participate in the election. So the election in that constituency will continue with the name of the new candidate. There is no need to countermand the election. But the straight answer to your question is that the provision of the law is very clear. Once we are informed and the Commission is satisfied by the fact of death, then we'll apply the provisions of the law. There is no confusion in that respect whatsoever. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairman. My name is Friday Okeribe. I'm a reporter with Channels TV. I would like to ask a few questions. One, it has to do with results that will be uploaded from the polling units to the Inec result viewing portal. I think this is one of the things that we expect in this election. And there is concern outside there regarding the integrity of this process. If whether the process could be compromised by some people, it's a concern. So I would like to ask you, Mr. Chairman, can you give the confidence that the process that has to do with the uploading of the result from the polling units to the Inec result viewing portal, the integrity can be relied upon, can be relied on? It's something we can trust. Nobody can penetrate it and compromise the whole system. And secondly, I would like to ask also about the concern that some civil society groups in their pre-election assessment report, some briefed yesterday and others this morning, have raised. They raised concern about the possible challenge that some people may throw out regarding announcing results on the social media. It's a concern that many CSOs have identified that it is possible that some groups may go ahead and announce the results of this election that we are yet to conduct before Inec will even announce the official results. So my question is, if that is a problem we're anticipating, does the Commission have any strategy to combat that so that we don't allow such fake results to fly and cause some havoc? Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Michael Modibe. I work with the Eagles FM Abuja. My question is on the camera. You said the use of cell phones. How do you intend to implement that? Are you going to stop the people from bringing it to the booth? How are you going to do that?
My name is Aniete Patrick. I report for Court TV News. My question is on the issue of the new PUs. Due to the oversaturated polling units, some individuals got a text message with a website asking them to check for their new PUs. But the complaint is that the website is not going through. Some are saying it's slow. I've been trying it right now and it's still not even opening up. So how would they access their PUs? Thank you.
Okay. Let me quickly respond to these questions. But before then, my attention has been drawn, and I must apologize that I introduced the former president of Malawi as Her Excellency Rupia Banda. I'm so sorry, it's Joyce Banda. I recall that in 2019, the former president of Zambia, His Excellency Rupia Banda, was here as head of one of the election observation missions. He has since passed on. May God bless his soul. Forgive me, Your Excellency. Her Excellency, Ms. Joyce Banda, not His Excellency Rupia Banda. Her Excellency Joyce is the former president of the Republic of Malawi. And then sitting next to a lawyer, the exact section of the Electoral Act dealing with what to do in the event of a death of a candidate before the election has been brought to my attention. So I will suggest to Obiora from the Champion newspaper to read specifically Section 34 of the Electoral Act. So I go to the first question, or a set of issues raised by the reporter from Channels Television. He talked about uploading of results that are concerned about the process. Has the process been compromised? I would have loved to hear something more specific. This is not the first time that the Commission is uploading results on the IRF portal straight from the polling units. We started this in August 2020 in the Nasarawa Central State Constituency by-election. And since August 2020, we have uploaded results on the IRF portal from 105 constituencies, including major off-cycle governorship elections. And the results are still there on the IRF portal. And I've been asking some of the political party leaders that we have been meeting with regularly to tell me if they notice any discrepancy between the hard copies of the results brought by their polling agents from the polling units and the results we have uploaded on the IRF portal. There are no discrepancies. So please be assured and reassured that the system is robust. We are not deploying it for the first time in the history of elections in the country, even though it is the first time that we are deploying it for major, in a general election. But we have done so in 105 constituencies, and the results are still there to be viewed. It is the largest archives of election results in Nigeria. So we are comfortable with the robustness of the system. But like all web assets, we'll continue to improve and fortify the assets. We'll continue to improve and fortify. We know that there will be tremendous interest in the general election. tremendous interest. And therefore, we have taken steps to ensure that the system accommodates as many voters as may wish, as many interested individuals as may wish to access the portal. It has the capacity to dynamically expand to accommodate at least 200 million views at a time, because we know that there will be interest in Nigeria and outside the country. And we have worked on that actually to see. We expect that because of the interest, a large number of people will be interested in the portal. But we also reckon that perhaps 200 million will be adequate for the views or hits on the portal on election day. So be rest assured that the system is as robust as it can be. Secondly, you said that civil society groups raise concern about the possible challenge regarding the announcement of results on the social media. And what is the Commission going to do? It's basically a plea. The Commission does not support censorship. We believe that the best antidote to fake news is greater openness and transparency, and will continue to be open and transparent. But I will appeal to citizens and those who operate on the social media to also exercise discretion in what they post, because electoral issues, particularly results of elections, are very, very sensitive indeed. What we'll do on election day here, as results come in, particularly for the presidential election, there will be a giant screen behind me, and people will be able to view the results that come from the states of the Federation as presented here by the state collation officers for the presidential election. They will ultimately present the results to me as the returning officer for the presidential election. So we can only appeal for discretion on the part of those who may wish to peddle false election results. Respect the laws of the country. It is only the Commission that has the final authority to announce results of election, and this is a matter of law. So it's appeal rather than gagging and censorship, because even if we want to censor, what capacity do we have to censor? Every posting, every blog on the social media. But as a countermeasure, there will be a screen behind me, and the screen will be projecting the results on state-by-state basis, and for each state on local government by local government basis on election day. And then there is the IRF portal that citizens have access to, where you will see the polling unit level results. But what we are posting on the IRF portal is not for the collation and declaration of winners, because we are not doing electronic transmission of results for the purpose of collation and declaration. Is essentially for transparency. Then Michael Eagle, ban on photographic devices. What are we going to do? Are we going to stop people physically? We'll be very busy on that day with the processes to have enough security to police people who carry their mobile phones to into the voting cubicles. The reason for doing so is that we realized in some of the off-cycle elections, when we changed the configuration of the polling units by bringing the voting cubicles closer to the ballot boxes, so that people wouldn't display their marked ballot papers for the purpose of vote transaction at the polling units, some smart guys introduced a smart way of doing so. So while they mark the ballot papers in the cubicles, they bring out their mobile phones and snap the marked ballot papers, and eventually go around and do whatever they intended to do. So we have introduced this ban, but again, we'll keep our eyes on the process in case anybody wishes to do that on election day, but I would like to appeal to citizens to respect that procedure. It is not done only here in Nigeria. I had the privilege of observing a midterm election in Maryland in the United States. And one of the things I saw was small posters by the entrance to the polling booth that photographic devices and mobile phones are not allowed into the polling units actually. So it's done everywhere. It's respected there. We should also respect this procedure here. It is essentially in order to protect the sanctity of the process so that our democracy remains a democracy rather than a plutocracy for only those who have means to buy votes. Then Aniette, new polling units. You said you checked on the website, but you couldn't access it. But remember we said that there is an alternative procedure. You have the website, and then there are 2 telephone numbers to which you can send an SMS to any of these dedicated lines, and you will receive a message back to tell you the addresses of your polling units. We also took time for those who have been migrated or allocated to a new polling unit to send them text messages. And last week, we sent literally millions of text messages to citizens, inviting them to check the locations of their polling units. And I also addressed a message to Nigerians, which we shared widely on the social media platforms, describing the procedure for checking your polling units on election day. And if you access our website or any of our social media platforms, you will still see a message on how you can access your polling units on election day. Let me seize this opportunity to appeal to citizens that haven't done so to please do so. Check and confirm the locations of your polling units ahead of the election day. Thank you very much.
Honorable Chairman, Honorable National Commissioners, Your Excellencies, various representatives of observer groups here present, members of the Fourth Estate of the realm, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in the absence of questions and observations and comments, it is necessary for us to bring this event to a close. On behalf of Honorable Chairman and the entire Independent National Electoral Commission, I thank you all for coming. As the Chairman said, this briefing will take place daily, which means tomorrow we will also be here. Thank you and God bless you all.
Thank you.
Our website, channelstv.com, has more information on our top stories and others. Subscribe and watch Channels Television's live stream on YouTube and other social media platforms using your mobile device browser, or download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores. You can also watch us via your smart TV platforms on Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, and Roku. Channels Television, ubiquitous. Stay connected to the world with Channels TV Podcast and get all the trending stories. Simply log on to channelstv.com, click on podcast, select the program of your choice, and listen. Our podcast is available on Apple, Google, and Spotify. Tap the expertise you trust. Touch the stories that touch you. Anytime, anywhere.
Many works of art done by veteran and contemporary artists form part of the Affinity Art Gallery collection showcased in its maiden exhibition titled The Opening, although it's been around since 2017.
We believe that you have to teach children and you have to teach the coming generation the importance of arts, who are the artists, you know, before and now, and the artists that are going to be in the future as well. So yeah, so that's what we're currently looking at doing. So next year we'll have a lot more exhibitions, installations, everything that has to do with supporting contemporary artists and celebrating the master and modern artists.
The images ooze class and style, exploring different issues happening in the society.
There's so much color in the gallery. We have sculptures as well. And African art is something that we've all come to know and love. We believe that if we're not telling our stories by ourselves, we're not really doing anything. So we need to tell our stories by ourselves. We need to celebrate our artists. We need to support our artists, most importantly, which is one of the things that we're currently looking at doing.
For the gallery, it's essential to give artists more room to exhibit their creations, as such beauty should never be hidden.
The space is amazing. I really like the works on display and the variety of styles of the different artists on exhibition today. The ambience and the crowd, it's a really, really great environment.
Actually impressed. We've been to a lot of art galleries in Lagos, and this is starting to look like a leader in this category. You know, the things I've seen here, I haven't seen anywhere in Lagos, so they are different and very, very unique. The collections are very, very unique, and the place generally is very, very conducive, and you know, it's a state of art gallery. That's what I was saying.
The gallery believes there are grave implications if African creations are not properly represented and young artists need guardians. That's why it's stepping out with this show despite the odds of 2020.
Millions of people living together in one community, working together in the same trade. We go into their midst, find out how they live and work.
Oh my goodness, food business is not an easy business. I spent more than 35 years for this community.
We tell these stories and how they survive in this economy. Community Report, we tell your story.
Are you a young person, a woman, or a person with a disability? Do you know that you collectively make up about 80% of Nigeria's population? Ahead of the 2023 general elections, women, youth, and persons with disabilities have adopted a unified policy agenda called the Governance Agenda for an Inclusive Nigeria, GAIN. GAIN includes the priorities of Nigerian women, youth, and persons with disabilities in education, wealth creation, healthcare, security, and participation in governance processes. We call on candidates in the 2023 general elections to make a commitment to implement GAIN if elected. Nigerian women, youth, and persons with disabilities will vote only for candidates who adopt GAIN.
The Channels 24 app means you'll always be in touch with the news. Get the latest local and international stories on the go. And there's our social media platforms for news from around the world. Watch the news live and play videos that matter to you. You can also check the Eyewitness section to report events around you. Just click on the Eyewitness icon and follow the instructions to upload your content. Channels 24 app, the news at your fingertips.
Hello and welcome. This is News Track on Channels Television. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo, and these are the stories we're following for you this hour. It's less than 24 hours to the much-anticipated presidential and National Assembly elections holding tomorrow in over 150,000 polling units across the country. Ahead of the crucial exercise, the Independent National Electoral Commission, Inec, says a total of over 87 million permanent voter cards have been collected across the country. Inec Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, who addressed the media yesterday on the readiness of the Commission for the polls in Abuja, says the Commission has recovered from some of the recent attacks on its facilities in parts of the country.
We are convinced that our joint operations before and on election day will vastly reduce the prospect of voter inducement, which is not only illegal, but actually immoral. The ban on the use of mobile phones and photographic devices at the voting cubicles is still in force. Our arrangement of placing the ballot boxes near the voting cubicles and away from the party agents remains. Several of our facilities were attacked by unknown assailants in various parts of the country. I am pleased that we have fully recovered from these attacks, and we have been further assured that our facilities, staff, voters, observers, the media, and citizens will be safe during the election. The bulk of the small amount of cash that we have requested from the Central Bank of Nigeria is right now being released to the Commission's offices nationwide. In fact, a substantial part of it has already been received by our offices nationwide, and this has greatly facilitated the movement of sensitive materials yesterday from the branches of the Central Bank to our local government areas. And by tomorrow, we'll batch them and then move them on Friday to the registration area centers. And then on Saturday early morning, they will be moved to the polling units for voting.
Meanwhile, more assurances of adequate security are coming from the Nigerian military ahead of tomorrow's presidential and National Assembly elections. This time, the General Officer commanding the 82 Division, Major General Aminu Chinadi, has called on residents of the Southeast to shun any threat and order to boycott the election tomorrow. According to General Aminu, the Army and other security agencies are fully prepared to tackle any threat head-on. He has issued a note of warning to those who intend to disrupt peace in the area to have a rethink, as the Army will not hesitate to deal with them decisively.
I would therefore like to urge our brothers and sisters in the Southeast, in particular, to come out en masse to exercise their franchise without any fear or fear of molestation. They should disregard the empty threat issued by a fugitive in Europe, and indeed all other miscreants to the effect that they shouldn't come out and vote. Adequate security arrangements have been put in place all over the Southeast to ensure that every Nigerian, and especially our brothers and sisters in the Southeast, exercise their franchise and vote without any fear or any concern. Let me reiterate, for those that feel, for whatever reason, that they want to, in one way or the other, disrupt these elections, they are in for a bloody nose, because we are fully prepared. As you can see, resources have been deployed, mandates have been given clearly, and we are going to employ these resources and our mandate to decisively deal with any situation in line with rules of engagement and conduct and code of conduct.
And staying with preparations for the elections, the distribution of materials to various local government areas continues across the country. In the northern parts of the country, resident electoral commissioners have been providing updates on the state of preparedness for the polls.
Years of preparation are now reduced to a few hours as officials of the Independent National Electoral Commission begin the distribution of election materials. Across northern Nigeria, activities pick up at the state branches of the Central Bank of Nigeria, where sensitive election materials were sorted and distributed.
We have the full complements of ballot papers for the presidential, for the Senate, and the House of Reps, as well as their result sheets. And by Friday, we are moving Inec personnel, particularly polling units, officials, the SPOs, and the collation officers that are being trained.
We're going to separate them. Each electoral officer is going to have his own and is going to check alongside our officials and party agents and observers. If you have any shortage of anything, that is the time to inform Abuja for reinforcement as soon as possible.
As I'm talking with you now, all our 23 electoral officers have been called from the field. They are here. You just saw it yourself. We've flagged off the distribution of the material, and hopefully in the next few hours we should be ready.
The materials are tagged according to their senatorial districts and more specifically to their local government areas. The idea is to ensure that the materials get to the remotest communities in the various states of northern Nigeria.
You start with the ones that are farthest, so that even as they are on the road, you're dealing with the sorting and distribution for some of the local governments that are close by.
In terms of collection by our electoral officers, we are going to start with the farthest local government so that they can be on their way as quickly as possible in order not to waste time and get to their various destinations late in the night.
Don't delay them here. When they are taken to the RAs, they will be taken directly to the polling units. So that's why we feel we should leave it until tomorrow. Because on Friday, when they are taken, they go straight to the polling units.
Representatives of political parties, security agencies and observers were on ground to ensure that the distribution exercise is seamless. INEC officials say all is set for the exercise, urging Nigerians to exercise their right to vote.
From here, the materials have been distributed to the various local government areas, which we have 11 in the state, and all the EOs are here. They move the materials down to their various local governments after checking.
These are the sensitive materials. Now, what is joining them, as you have recorded, is the beavers. This is a new introduction. You know, this has not been used in the 2019 general election. This is what we are going to deploy for 2023 general elections. So they are collecting these three, components this night: ballot papers, result sheet, and the beavers.
The exercise is expected to continue into the night across the country, while the bimodal voter accreditation system machine is expected to be distributed to the local government areas on Friday, February 24th, under tight security watch.
Meanwhile, the European Union Parliament election observation